Disturbing news story has emerged over the weekend. Jian Ghomeshi has been fired from his job at the CBC over allegations about his sex life, including claims by 3 women of unwanted sexual violence. No charges have been formally laid against Jian Ghomeshi, and he claims everything was consensual. Jian's suing the state broadcaster for $50 million. IRENE SEPNOPOULOS-ELHAIMER is from the organization Women Against Violence Against Women and joins us now from Vancouver. IRENE, thank you for being here. I want to get your reaction. To be clear to our viewers, again, no charges have been laid. These are merely allegations. But you deal with women that encounter or experience sexual abuse. I wanted to get your reaction to the latest coming out of the CBC. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, just like we handle many calls every day, 24/7 at Women Against Violence Against Women Rape Crisis Center, it's always upsetting, it's always shocking, and it is a daily occurrence, and it's a fact of life for women. So it's all of those things together.
Now, in one of the articles that came out from the Toronto Star, I'm going to read you a quote from it, because essentially what it says is, none of the women had contacted the police. When asked by the Star, the women cited several reasons, including fears that a police report would expose their names and worries that their consent or acceptance of a fantasy role-play discussion in text or other messages with Ghomeshi would be used against them as evidence of consent to actual violence. Now, has that been your experience, that women are in these situations, and again, these are all allegations, but in these situations, are fearful of coming forward to the police?
Well, yes. I mean, a very small percentage of women end up reporting to the police, even though they may call our Rape Crisis Center and have us support them through the emotional impacts of sexual assault. And we know that around 6% to 10% of all sexual assaults are reported to the police. So women have many reasons for not wanting to come forward, and as you prefaced before, you know, our lives are scrutinized, and we are scrutinized, and we are held up as the one to be interrogating and investigating when this happens. So there's so many reasons: professional, personal, societal, all those things that you can imagine women think about before reporting to police.
You know, I'm curious, because there were some of the allegations were that they engaged in violent forms of sexual activities, but the question is, where do you draw the line? Because if in fact they consented, you know, that's one thing, but on the other hand, you know, if sexual assault plays a role in it, then do you see where I'm getting at? You know, where do you draw the line here?
Well, I think it's important not to collapse sexuality and violence. And I think in rape culture that we're all living in, it's really easy to say violence is sexy and sexuality is about violence. So they are two separate things. And what these women are alleging is violence. It's not about a preferred kink or sexuality at all. Those are very separate things, and it's really dangerous to conflate and collapse sexuality with violence.
Do you think books like 50 Shades of Grey have helped to normalize these types of sexual activities like BDSM, for instance?
Well, I think that we, you know, as Canadians, we purport to be open about sexuality and choice. I think that we have started to think that talking about BDSM as a preferred sexuality normalizes many things, and as you were saying, it is very dangerous when you start normalizing violence as sexuality. And BDSM is very specific, and it's very, I mean, you really have to know what you're doing, and people really have to be participating. It has to be absolutely yes means yes, and enthusiastic consent, and that's very different from violence. And again, to think that sex is violence and violence is sexy is not what BDSM is about.
Let me ask you in the last 30 seconds that I have left. You know, what would you say to those women that find themselves in this situation and are fearful of coming forward to the police?
Well, I think it's really important to be okay with your decision, to get support, to call a rape crisis center, women's shelter, and to really understand your own lived experience, and that we have to also honor women's decisions.
Okay.
And it's never easy, and women know this.
All right, Irene, thank you for your insights.
Thank you so much.